And we're live.
We are live.
All right, so initiation work
Yeah.
for men is something that you and I have been delving into a little bit more and more over the last, like, close to 12 months now, I guess, since we did the journey in the Czech Republic together. And I'm curious, like, why do you think it's important for this initiation work right now in the world?
You know, I find for men, a lot of the conditioned reality that I feel like men have been brought up into is not really a attunement to both sides of their inner self. Their initiation work, a lot for me, is actually incorporating a fully integrated man. And a fully integrated man means that he is in touch with his feminine and he's strong and balanced in his masculine. And this initiation work that we're doing is really giving men a chance to be in a container where they can express and they can move and they can get a bit more in touch to their emotionality and to their like softer communication and learning how to embody more of this feminine within. And there's a lot of men's work and mankind and all this stuff that's out there, and from everything I've ever experienced, nothing is really meeting the man at the totality of masculine and feminine within. And then sometimes this work will go so far into male femininity that it's like, you know, he's gone and there's no balls that are left. So the thing I love about this initiation work is really creating a space that's balanced in between, and men really have a chance to go into the depth of the darkness as well as like the small, you know, fragile little girl that's inside as well.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I think, you know, for me, I'm also appreciating the full spectrum that happens at these 6-day deep dives, because it's rare that there is an opportunity for men to step out of the world and be surrounded just by their brothers for 6 days to really surrender into themselves and surrender into that process of where am I inside with all aspects of myself, and from that place of finding that home base, that ground of where I am right now, how do I want to move forward into the world? And I really remember doing this work in August last year, that I felt this new grounding of where I am from my center and being present in this moment, and then being much more deliberate about where I was stepping forwards from there. And that was one of my big takeaways, is really I'm here and this is where I want to take this forward for myself.
Yeah, and the other piece is like I feel like so much in the masculine in men, it's like we're holding presence, we have clarity, we're poised, we're, you know, not always the breadwinners, but often in families, it's like the man is taking care of so much. You know, women certainly take care of a lot as well. It's not to negate that, but it's giving men a safe place where they can actually let go, and they actually can like let go into the everything that's inside, because the shadow that comes out for so many men is that when their wounded victim comes out in communication and relationship, and it's usually the feminine within that's never had a chance to express, then she really gets quite disturbed. And, you know, I always say the most undeveloped feminine is really in a male body. And so this initiation work is really giving that feminine space in male bodies a chance to express. And, you know, it blew me away in our last one in Melbourne, like guys that had really never done a lot of men's work, but just their growth through the 6 days, and then watching them reintegrate into the world was just beautiful. Like total shift and changes with their marriage, with their relationship, with their job, because the full spectrum of their being could be there. And I think there's a lot of men in the world that it's like they're only showing up at a 50% rate, and they're like trying to like always be so strong and forceful, and then the moment they get into their emotionality, they get lost and confused because that's never had a chance to fully express. And, you know, I say these things, and sometimes the mind can't even really quite encapsulate and understand. It's giving men an embodied sense of what that even feels. And that's why, you know, the men that come on these journeys, there's just like a curiosity. There's a deep fear. It's like this fear that comes up, oh my God. But when that curiosity and that willingness is there, the growth that happens is just really revolutionary, and that's why I have such a deep appreciation for this work. I love doing this with you and just holding a space where men can actually let go and let go of control.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that really is such a big piece to actually allow all of myself and the men that were there. I really recognized that place where there was this fear in being seen in the world for who they actually authentically are, because there in the past has been so much story of, you know, if they're vulnerable then they're going to get taken advantage of, or if they show any sign of weakness that then they're not being masculine, and this vulnerability that's inside of them just doesn't have an opportunity to either really be seen, or if the vulnerability does allow itself to show up, then it's automatically labeled as being a victim, and it turns into this negative spiral, as opposed to the vulnerability actually allowing the heart to just soften and open and be expressed. And what you were touching on before about the beauty and the immaturity, I guess, of the feminine that's inside a man, and that then being held by the maturity that is the masculine that's inside a man. And I've talked about this before, that one of the greatest gifts for me at these workshops is for men to drop into their feminine and be held by a man, and really allow that aspect of ourselves to really solidly be held and allow that to fully be felt. Because it's one of those things that when we can't feel into it fully, there's a piece of, okay, I can't go there. So then there is just a mask that we put on, or we just create separation from that, and we just say, no, I'm okay, that's not part of me.
Yeah.
And it's not until we can really look deep right into it and we can just witness our full truth with it that we can then surrender and allow that to be an activated part of ourselves.
Yeah, and it's not until men actually go there that they can begin to conceptually understand why this is so impactful. And this is why so many men are afraid of it. Like, I talk to guys sometimes, and they're like, there's a curiosity, but there's such a deep fear because it's stepping into the unknown. I remember for myself, when I really started to get into more of these initiation rites for men, and when we're speaking initiation, it's far just beyond like warrior initiation. This is like a deep integrated initiation of man and woman, masculine and feminine within us. I was very afraid. I was terrified because part of my body was like, I've never been here before. I'm going to lose presence. I'm going to lose control. You know, am I going to be okay? And all my mind was just flooded with all these questions. But finding breath, finding like peace, finding a bit of like solitude and comfort in the unknown, I find was where I began to take what I could do in a group container setting and begin to actually apply it into life. Because, you know, I even find in my relationship now with Shan, it's like there's times where I'll go into that vulnerability and that fear, and it's like learning how to communicate from that space, because we all have it. It's like you're in a male body, but you have a feminine within, and if you deny it, then it's going to be repressed and suppressed more and more and more. So this is a safe container to bring men so they can have an expression of that, so that when that man goes back into relationship, whether it's with a man or woman, it doesn't matter, then there's more of an integrated sense of self, an integrated wholeness that comes through that communication. And the communication isn't then coming from the shadow. And that's really why I love this work the most, because it's deeply improving the level of love and communication and relating that's happening out in the world with two humans.
Yeah, and I think that has to do with the wholeness that is available within us, and allowing the full spectrum of ourself to be felt within, so that we can express from all of that, as opposed to segmenting the bits that we're okay with in our mind that are socially acceptable in the world, and just really getting to that place of, I don't give a fuck what the world wants. This is my authentic truth, and I'm going to bring it into the world with love and grace. I don't need to come in with force. And you know, this for me is one of the beautiful pieces in the initiation work that we're doing together, is even though it's very deep, powerful work, there is an element of grace and gentleness that we do it so that can be brought into the world in that same way, as opposed to like, I'm just fired up now and I'm just going to push forward and I'm a fucking hero. Like there is some of that that's needed, of course, but there's also that balance of just, I can feel all of that on the inside and then just walk gently into the world with that, as opposed to needing to force myself through. And this is where the shadow work, once we deal with these shadow aspects, then they can come through with this gentleness, as opposed to leaking out or, just getting burst out into the world, and really feeling it as we walk, really just gently. And it feels really interesting to talk about this thing of being gentle with ourselves when the work, when we're doing it, doesn't necessarily feel gentle. It is deep, powerful work. And, that can create this fear that you talked about, or this agitation that's in the world, inside ourselves. We've got this agitation. We can feel that there is something here. There is something in this work, and it scares the fuck out of me. And then listen to that. If you really feel like there is a charge that's coming up when you see Aaron and I on camera here, then feel into that, because it may be that there's part of you that's going, oh, no, I'm not going to go there. There's nothing for me there. There's nothing for me there. And that's when there is deep truth. That's when there really is something that is being called to be looked at.
Yeah, and I always say with this work, it's like the depth that I've gone into my feminine, the depth I've gone into that like place of the unknown in my being, and just not knowing that. The more I've gone into that polarity, the stronger, the more on point, the more clear, the more directive my masculine has become. And I never could have consciously understood that until I gave myself permission to go there. And that's why I really love this work more than anything, because it increases the spaciousness, the polarity in which love can flow through my body. And in being able to do that, it's like I can play with any of these situations, and it's helping men be able to navigate like life. And life has a lot of ups and downs, so I want to be able to tune into like my strength and poise, as well as my softness and my vulnerability, moment by moment. Whether it's in the bedroom, whether it's in the boardroom, whatever it may be, that's where deep integration happens. And I'm excited for it to be about a month's time. Our early bird ends today for our initiation journey happening in Bali, the 18th to the 23rd. And this work, it's a beautiful group of brothers coming in. I think we're already about half full on it. If you're feeling a call to this work, if you have questions, if you have curiosities, if you're wanting just to, have a deeper conversation about this, and then reach out to one of us. Like, I know that fear. There's a fear inside, especially when men are stepping into this, of like, oh my God, I'm afraid. So just in that fear, step out, make the decision, because if you're wanting things to change in your external world, if you're recognizing you're at a point in your life where it's time to make a change and it's time to see shifts, then step into this journey. And you can see a lot of the testimonials and a lot of the things that guys that have already gone through, that have been in a similar place as you, to really step into more of the fullness of who they actually are.
Yeah. So we'll have the links and all of the information in the comments below. And the invitation is strongly there, just to reach out and just say, hi, I'm curious. And then from this place, we can go deeper. Like, you don't need to commit straight away. Just say, yeah, there is something here for me. And then we can move from there and allow it to open up, and lean into this experience, and lean into opening your heart more and more, and being able to embrace all aspects of yourself.
Absolutely. So, yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man.
See you again soon. Bye-bye.